So there were some things that came up on Discord as I was looking around, and I thought it was interesting because it halfway has to do with other people in the Linux sphere. But as a kind of like starting off, do not harass anyone, do not attack anyone. I am just looking at the arguments and going arguing against the points, not against the person. Do not attack someone, do not harass them in DMs, and so on and so forth. That should hopefully not need to be said, but just to save my own skin. Anyone mentioned, do not, attack them, but it's going to be interesting to comment on the arguments made. And that's what we should strive for. So, Nick from the Linux Experiment is no longer going to be publishing to Odysee or Library. So, there are a couple of reasons why. And I think I'm going to kind of break them down as we go through it. So, yeah. I've been syncing my YouTube channel to Library, then to Odysee for a while now, something like 4 years. It's a platform I found interesting at the time, mostly because it offered an alternative to YouTube. A platform I've never been 100% comfortable with, even though it's my main job nowadays. And also because it promised another way to make content viable as a day job without relying on ads. Over the years, this platform has taken a turn I can't say I approve of, and I've made the decision to stop publishing there. So there are a couple decisions that Odysee has made that rub people the wrong way, and he gets into some of those, and I can understand why. And we'll kind of go over why at the same time it's, I don't know how to put it. It's his choice in the end. So, however, he may not feel comfortable about it, and that's fine. You take your dollars or your activity with you wherever you feel comfortable and basically speak with your actions, which is what he's doing. I'm not condemning that part. The first reason is crypto. When Library started, before the platform itself became Odysee and Library, the underpinning technology, I already felt that crypto was a scam, but I also felt that the implementation in Library seemed solid enough. It wasn't a pyramid scheme, it was just used to let viewers tip creators they enjoyed watching. Which is true, you could tip, or there were pay-per-view options within the Library coin or Library token as the crypto. So you had a way that you could also exchange it for, fiat currency otherwise. Since then, crypto has collapsed as an industry. It has proven to be completely the opposite of what it wanted to be. A decentralized stable currency that fought speculation. Crypto is the most speculative market in the world, or at least that I know of. And every coin just crashes in tune with Bitcoin, which makes using a crypto backing platform a complete non-starter for funding needs. So this does make sense. Libraries, or the tokens, have kind of dropped in value significantly, especially over time, and then Odysee kind of dropped the payouts that you would get normally. And then on top of that, Bitcoin being kind of the major player has kind of decided some of it, and it's basically like playing the stock market for crypto a lot of times. So it becomes very speculative, and then Bitcoin only went up because had a huge shot up because Pornhub started accepting it as the only method of payment. But on top of that, cryptocurrencies have proven to be a complete joke at that point, with little to no use in the real world and a new scam being unveiled every month. It's not something I want to associate with my channel, my content, or myself. Makes sense. Is crypto the only thing, though? This is one reason, so this is one of the compounding reasons for why. Makes sense, and yeah, a lot of crypto come out like a lot of joke ones, which have no, how do you put it? In a lot of ways have no intent of being a real crypto, but end up getting value because of memery, like Elon tweeting about it. Okay. Odysee and moderation. This is probably the big one. Crypto, not so much. Like, crypto's like a small factor, I think, it sounds like. This is where, like, the big thing is, I think. Odysee doesn't moderate anything. It's one of the main selling points they put forward, and while on paper it's a refreshing change from YouTube's often completely off-putting Puritanism and approach to what they deem monetizable, it's also led to being a haven for absolutely horrifying stuff. Now, I would argue, when you say horrifying, you're talking about people speaking their minds in different things. If you want to go to horrifying stuff, we can list multiple porn websites that have much more horrifying stuff than Odysee probably has. But I haven't browsed those portions of Odysee. Am I angry that YouTube doesn't let certain creators monetize videos because they talk about sexuality or controversial parts of history? Am I angry at their approach to copyright? Of course I am. It's absolutely insane that a single company can decide what's right or wrong to say. Because that's what it ends up doing. Creators that talk about non-monetizable things can't make a living and so can never be as influential or prevalent. And some will stop altogether because making videos on top of a day job is hard. I did it for 4 years and it also almost burned me out. Okay. So it's absolutely insane that a single company can decide what's right or wrong to say. So Odysee has taken the free speech absolutist route, in essence, and said we are not moderating, only if it's like something that's expressly illegal will we remove it. So any level of moderation leaves somebody to make the decision of what's right or wrong to say. So you put all that power into a company. Do you want distributed moderation? Or do you want Odysee to do the moderation for you, like YouTube does? But I do think the solution is to let everyone publish whatever they want, even if that content is actively encouraging, harming others, or spreading lies that can end up... But I think the solution is to let everyone publish whatever they want, even if that content is actively encouraging, harming others, or spreading lies that can end up putting other people in danger? No, I don't think that's a solution. Moderation will always be required on the internet. Odysee doesn't moderate. Okay, again, this comes down to people using free speech. So even if that content is actively encouraging harming others. So this would be things like calls to action, which in US law, I believe, is still like condemnable under the law, because you're making a call to action to a group of people to actively go and harm someone. Just as anybody that comments on things like this encourages people not to harass people, it is a call to action to not cause harm while they talk about something that could be controversial. Then spreading lies that can end up putting other people in danger. This is where more speech fights off the lies. By having more information out there, more transparency, you are able to combat the lies, and it creates this room for argument rather than someone's not being able to see it because it's a quote lie. We've seen over many years how like people deciding what's a lie and what's true can sometimes turn out to be those people that were supposedly liars were actually telling the truth. So the open speech means that you've got both sides of the argument that you can look at, and in a sense, in a debate sense, a moderator would be there to make sure that it stays civil, not that no lies are spread. They even actively defend certain types of content, like white supremacist videos. They acknowledge that a video's title actively encouraged hate towards, as they put it, an ethnic group or whatever, and that the title should be changed, but that the video shouldn't be removed unless it breaks community guidelines. This is the clickbait thing you're going on. Encouraging hate is one thing. Encouraging violence towards someone is a different thing. You can still dislike someone and not actively harm them. There are sometimes, in many situations, those lies that you talk about can do more harm. You take someone that accuses someone of some heinous sexual crime, and that person that gets accused is... their reputation is damaged, and now they have to, like, fight to get that reputation back, even though they did nothing wrong. And in many instances, YouTube is even bad at, moderating all content that encourages hate toward certain groups of people, certain religions, or what have you. So, Odysee may harbor different kinds of content, but they harbor that hate-fueled content on both sides because they don't moderate. YouTube harbors the content more actively toward one side as they moderate. There's one side that gets more of their hate content out than the other. If your platform's community guidelines allow videos that openly incite others to enact violent acts against beings of a certain skin color, sorry, but your platform is horrible. Here's a link to that whole debacle. So he links a Guardian article. So let's see. Wrote blah blah blah. Nazi that makes videos about the superiority of the white race would not be grounds by itself for removal of the platform, according to leaked email obtained by The Guardian. Where'd they get that email? Who knows? Let's see. Odysee. Jordan's channel. Blah, blah, blah. One of the most prolific content creators on the alt-right. Again, they're okay. Let's about Jordan's blah, blah, blah. Just tell you an inch away from your face that he's a proud neo-Nazi. He's arguably the most prolific hate propagandist of the last 5 years. Again, where in this is this illegal? You just kind of combat it against other things. YouTube, yes, would remove it. So you're still saying what's right or wrong should be removed, but what kind of... I guess it's more along the lines of where's the violence coming into it. If it appears to be inciting hatred toward an ethnic group or whatever, the title should be scrubbed, but that doesn't mean the video should be removed unless it does break community guidelines. Also, being a white nationalist or Nazi isn't grounds for removal. Are you a Nazi that makes videos about superior to the right race? That is not grounds for removal, nor is being a communist grounds for removal or supporting leftist ideology. It's when you get into other grounds of encouraging violence. If you're not, on the other hand, dehumanizing race or doing things against our guidelines, that is grounds for removal. If you are dehumanizing race, or, yeah. Let's see. White supremacy is inherently dehumanizing. Great replacement narrative, blah, blah, blah. Odysee and library employees do not immediately respond to requests for comment on the apparent moderation guidance. Please note we don't need to provide our judgments to the people that complain. It's none of their business how we act in response. So, I'm not sure if we looked at the videos whether it would actually encourage violence towards people or what. But does it go outside of that free speech guidance? Can people still respond to it? And is he actively encouraging violence towards those groups? Would be kind of one of the litmus tests I would look at. I don't want my channel to appear in a platform that thinks it's okay to let things stand. Yes, YouTube also has some pretty weird and offensive crap, but they do remove it when it's brought up to their attention. Not all of it. They don't try and defend it. Again, not all of it. There have been different videos that are more sexually explicit that are allowed for children to watch, or that have not been removed or have not been put behind certain age restrictions. So it depends. So while I don't agree with YouTube's stance on moderation, I also find it way less problematic than Odysee's. Let's put it this way, YouTube's money-driven morals don't have the potential to spread hate. Again, if you are looking at it, you are looking at hate from one side. It's spreading hate, inciting hate toward one side, whereas Odysee allows hate to be incited towards both sides. YouTube allows hate to be incited only toward one side. You don't get like both sides having a voice in that. Only if they fly under the radar and are really small might they get away with it. But even then, that becomes questionable as the content grows. Other alternatives exist. So this is a third argument you could say, and I use one of these options as well, obviously. When I started publishing to Library, I didn't know of other alternatives. Today, all my videos are automatically synced to PeerTube on the TillVids instance. PeerTube is everything I wanted from Library and Odysee. It's decentralized as part of the Fediverse, so you can follow a channel on PeerTube straight from Mastodon, for example. It's open source, mainly developed by Framasoft, and you get to pick the instance you appear on or even start your own. So yes, they have different instances with varying kinds of moderation. I'm confident that PeerTube is a good alternative. Sure, it's less known than Odysee is, but that was never the point. YouTube is where I can reach more people to talk about Linux and FOSS. Explain what the benefits and limits are. Alternative platforms are always in my mind, at least for people who don't want to use Google services. PeerTube serves that role perfectly. And again, there are complete instances dedicated to porn and whatnot. And do understand that PeerTube very likely costs me money. It doesn't make me anything, apart from potential new Patreon supporters and donations. But I can't track that, so I have no way of knowing. Odysee didn't cost me a cent and generated something around 10 euros every 3 months. For PeerTube, I support the instance on Patreon, so they can host all heavy videos. So I'm over my quota on this. When I'm over my quota on this instance, I'll probably have to donate more, or even spin up my own instance, which will definitely be more costly. I host my instance on a small VPS, and among hosting other things. So you could probably pay the equivalent of 10 euros a year, like, what? Less than 10 euros a month. And you're probably paying less than 100 euros a month, and you will be able to host your own without having to pay as much. What's next? I know this will be upsetting for Odysee viewers. You like the platform, you prefer using it, I get it. And you're probably using Odysee because you have a very strong dislike of YouTube and a very strong love for free speech. So if you still want to watch my videos after all this, and if you don't, well, that's okay too. Here are the options. First, you can use PeerTube. All of my videos are synced there in the same time frame as they were on Odysee. Just head over to TillVids, and you'll see my channel. You can create an account there and subscribe, or you can just watch the videos without an account. RSS feeds are a thing in PeerTube. The website is mobile-friendly, and you can add it to your phone's homepage. There are also Android clients like NewPipe or Fedilab that will let you watch videos in a dedicated application. Again, NewPipe can connect to PeerTube as well. And Fedilab does too. Since PeerTube uses the ActivityPub standard, if you use Mastodon or any other Fediverse service, you can also allow the PeerTube channel on Mastodon, and you'll get a post in your timeline. Every time there's something new to watch, you can also just use the RSS feed that every channel has on PeerTube by clicking on the subscribe button in the channel page. Second, you use the YouTube third-party front-end like Invidious or the aforementioned NewPipe. You won't get ads, you won't be tracked, but also note that it won't contribute to a video's success on YouTube or the channel's growth, since YouTube doesn't even know you watched a video in the first place. This is a downside. I've kind of mentioned this in a previous video, and I know it can be somewhat a downfall for the channel. But at the same time, If you interact otherwise, then it helps me know what the gives me an idea of what the growth looks like as well. So if you're joining a chat or something, then that helps. Third, you can use regular YouTube with a good ad blocker, uBlock. Google can't really track you either, and you'll be contributing to the channel's growth there. If by adding one view to the video and eventual like, of course. If your opposition to YouTube isn't privacy related, this won't be an option. I'll keep the channel on Odysee for a few more days so people have time to read the post and decide whether they want to follow me elsewhere or just drop the channel altogether and I'll delete it. And then I'll delete it. To everyone who contributed to the channel's success on Odysee and on all other platforms, a big thank you. I know it's not a decision everyone will agree with, but it's the one I'm comfortable with. Which, again, in the end is his choice. Some of the arguments brought up are not quite accurate because YouTube, again, still allows hate towards certain groups because of certain belief leanings, whereas Odysee does not discriminate against either leaning, so the hate is allowed either way. There are certain platforms that allow other things like doxing, which I believe is strictly illegal, and that can pose a problem. So I don't remember any cases where YouTube allowed that, but I do remember cases where Twitter allowed it for certain groups of people, for certain kinds of people. But that's his argument. Again, not everything is completely accurate, and is what I would argue, is it equivalent on both sides when they moderate against hate, or is it just one-sided? Leave your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, then like, comment, subscribe, feed the algorithm, boost the video up, share this video with your friends. If you found it informative or you just want to chat, I've got plenty of places in the description, Discord, Guilded, and what have you. Check those out, and I will see you guys in the next one.